Hello, fellow meteorologists. This is Jeff Brown, your one of the many Jeff Browns, but one of the Jeff Browns here, coming up with a forecast. I've been holding off because the models have been trending towards some interesting pattern changes, and plus we were in Sedona at our home there working on it, which you see a picture of. This is the picture of the yard there. This is the front yard and the trail we have going around the house. We had a nice little thunderstorm with marble-sized hail when we were there. They had no monsoon season there up to about a week ago when it started to cool off and we got some nice rain there. So it was very pleasant, very, very nice experience. I wanted to touch base with some of the models. Okay. I wanted to touch base with some of the, let's start with the super long range models, if I'm going to be so bold in assuming that particular position. And this is the CFS V2, which is kind of the climate model at 850 millibars over North America. And it looks like we're just going to run through this real quick, and I don't want to bore you. But it, this model isn't necessarily that accurate, but it kind of gives you an idea of the heat hanging on to the southwest and kind of some troughing, tending of troughing off the west coast of the United States. Okay, so this is the upper level long range forecast. This goes out about 30 days. So you can see we got some lows cutting off. It's interesting to see these trends because they weren't showing these trends a couple of days ago, and a little bit like, not quite like the fall of 2004. It's a bit different, but it's like something I haven't seen before. And before we go into the medium range models, I think it would be only appropriate to take a look at the sea surface temperature anomalies, because I think it's interesting to see how the temperatures have changed to a kind of a little bit of a La Nada, maybe a La Nina a little bit in the Enzo region, which is the El Nino area. But as that cools down, it looks like the northern portions of the Pacific and the horse latitudes north of 10 degrees north are remaining quite a bit above normal. As a matter of fact, if we look at this closely, one of the static charts, if this will let me do it, one of the static charts of late, let's look at the latest model, or the latest analysis. I have to apologize for my mouse. This is the 23rd, which was 2 or 3 days ago. This is the latest model or the analysis of the globe. You can see that the oceans basically are, other than the South Pacific, or the southeastern Pacific along the coast of South America is cooler than normal, but everywhere else is well above normal and has been most of this area, especially the northern Pacific, especially the north central and eastern Pacific, has been above normal almost literally since 2015, 2014, and that to me is a concern. Obviously, it's not something that we've seen before. It doesn't look like it's going to be cooling down anytime soon, according to the CPC climate change long-range forecast models. They're pretty much holding this area warm above normal. It's not as warm as it was during the Super El Nino of 2015, but it's above normal. And I think, in my opinion, the effect of the warm waters of the north central and northeastern Pacific is these waters are affecting how the weather patterns are adjusting to the response in the Enso region. What does this mean? That the El Nino and La Nina and La Nada region is becoming squelched. It's becoming less and less of an influence on the long wave storm pattern over the Northeast Pacific. As this water continues to warm, the California current begins to shut down. As the North Atlantic gets warmer and warmer, the Gulf Stream has been shutting down. Since the 1930s, it's slowing down. I mean, it started to speed up a little bit in the 1990s, but it's slowing down again due to a lot of freshwater melt off of Greenland. Now, how is this going to affect the weather? Long term, short term, medium term? I don't know, because there are no models to be able to tell us what's going to happen. It's, all the long range models that NOAA has put out is saying a below normal rainfall winter with above normal temperatures, but the model for the western United States, but the models are indicating something quite different. Quite different. If I can get this to, well, I'll have to go back to this. So let's go to the medium range models of, I think I'll go to Tropical Tidbits. It's kind of a nicer graphic. We'll go to Tropical Tidbits. So let's go to the upper dynamics. Let's go to the 500 millibar height anomaly, and let's go to the let's take a look at the North American continent, and we'll take it back to of late and last couple of days, and let's just run it. I'm going to run it at a fairly consistent speed here. You can see we had a little short Santa Ana duration. You can see the cutoff low that brought some offshore winds and some thunderstorm activity to the southwest Arizona area. And then it's followed by a deep trough for this time of year. Of course, the trough is over Central Oregon and just a little bit too far east to give us any significant shower activity over California, but the troughing continues over the west coast. And what's interesting, when you get further out, the previous models, the previous runs were showing this deep trough over north of Hawaii and a huge high building over the west coast, and they seem to be pulling away from that type of scenario and moving toward more of a blocking pattern. What does this mean for us? Well, it definitely means the possibility of significant rain for the northern half, if not the northern 2/3 of California. You could have some short waves wrapping around the base of this trough, bringing some significant precipitation features, and that's pretty much what the models are indicating. Of course, this is more than 10 days off, so this may or may not happen. Let's wind this back a bit. This is 10 days off. You can see the moistures from the tropical system that was to the south of Baja, and you can see here some cold snow coming around the northern Sierra, central Sierra, but a lot of the precip missing central and southern California and the coastal areas. However, then you see a short wave. Now this is more than 10 days off, so this could easily fade away in later runs, or it could be at a different location. But at any rate, it's interesting to see that these kind of predictions are coming up in the medium range. So it looks like we're looking at a fairly interesting pattern coming up in the long range. And I'm not going to look at the precip pattern for the super long range here, but I wanted to show the upper air pattern I don't want to show the precip pattern because they're very rarely accurate. But if you look at the upper level patterns through the fall for the western U.S., you can see that they are indicating quite a bit of high pressure in and around the Bering Sea and troughing along the west coast. Again, this is way out, but this would also bring significantly wet fall, wet November and December for pretty much all of California, especially Southern California. So patterns, you know, similar to November and December of 1965, 1967, maybe a little bit of 1972, but I think it's going to be more like 65, 66, 67, mid-60s kind of patterns, where you had an El Nino, a La Nada, and then a La Nina pattern over those 3 years respectively. So I just wanted to bring it to everyone's attention that I find this interesting. We'll see what happens. Again, there's no slate pattern or forecast model that's going to be very effective beyond 4 to 5 days, due to the extremely warm temperatures in the Northeast and Central Pacific, which we've had go on year after year after year, that just keep getting warmer and warmer and warmer for whatever reason. Because of a warmer planet. The cat's out of the bag. There you have it. Good luck. Have a great time. Wish you all the best of luck, and we will talk soon. Bye-bye.